I have that mentality that I'm the man.
Yeah.
Um, I'm alpha. I have that alpha mentality. I gotta be the guy that supports the family, right?
Right. Right.
So I knew that the greater good for the family would be me to pursue the police thing, and it always was a dream as a child was to be a police officer.
I don't know
Um,
if I like the word that the better option would have been. I think the more secure option. And,
secure,
and
you
I
know
guess
what?
if you want, I guess if you want to define better through a lens of security, certainly. Yeah.
Security. I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's good call there because you're absolutely 100% right. The more secure option because
Right.
it
Right.
honestly wasn't better because at that time where I was going through the academy, we actually had two police officers unfortunately lose their lives on the line of duty. So it really wasn't the better option. It was the secure option. So thank
Right.
you for bringing that up. So it was a struggle. It was honestly it was a pull. It was, I know what I feel like I need to do or should do
Yeah.
for the family, but at the same time it was like, holy shit, this is a low key dream to potentially be a full-time streamer.
Yeah.
So
I mean, let's paint a picture of this. Like, I mean, you're on the edge of the precipice here,
yes.
right? Like we are on the end of the chasm, right? And you're standing at this, you're standing at this cliff, and behind you, right, you can just turn around and go away. You can just turn around and go back. You can go back to the quote unquote secure police job with the stable income and the 30-year career and the pension and da 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 da. Or we can kind of make this leap, right? And there's so many things that are pulling you back towards the police, right? The police
Yeah.
academy, right? I mean, it's the as you say, the traditional, right?
Yes.
It's a very traditional, and again, I mean, this is the second time in this story where you've kind of come up against what traditional society would suggest, right? Or what
Correct.
traditional society purports, right? Because you
Yes.
should be getting the secure, stable job,
Yes.
putting food on the table, and that's the pressure, right? That's the pull.
Correct.
And what's in front of you is a whole heck of a lot of unknown, right? And so, I mean, paint a picture, because what a decision, what
It
a
was
pivotal moment in a person's life, because today would look fundamentally different if that went one, depending on the way that would have gone, right? So, I mean, I imagine there were some conversations with Momtality. How did you navigate? Do I jump, or do I just go back to the force where it's secure?
that's perfect because I can still remember almost everything that we pretty much talked about, and it wasn't like a small conversation because how
Yeah.
could it ever be a small conversation?
Right.
Um, so yes, there was the idea of the secure way, the career path or whatever, but there's a lot that goes into it. There's a potential losing my life on the line of duty, a
Hmm.
lot of time away from the family because we live in a really big town. It's a tourist town here in the summer. Lot of hours. Um, and then you have the streaming side of you, like you said, you don't know. You're literally
Yeah.
staring into the black unknown. You
Right.
don't see, and it's shrouded in
Right.
this mystery.
And you're not single and 17 anymore, right? Like there's
Exactly.
there's there's pressure, right? There's
Yeah.
pressure to quite literally perform. I mean, I work with, so many athletes who have families and stuff like that. And this is a conversation that we have often. It's like, if you're going to do this, right, it's still, I mean, now we got to, your identity of, what is man to you, right? And what is being one, and what does that look like, and you have this established framework, right, of this is what I believe, and this is what I, either whether it's how I've been raised or just how I view it. And I mean, for lack of a better, I mean, just right out front, streaming completely contradicts that framework. It's
Yeah.
about as non-traditional as it gets, you know
100%.
so you're
100%.
looking at this.
Yes.
How'd you do it?
So I I owe so much to to Momtality, let me tell you, because she never once sat there and said, absolutely not. You
Yeah.
need to be a police officer. She supported me going into the military. She supported me going to try to become a police officer, and she was supporting me 100% in streaming. And I'm lucky in that aspect because a lot of people that do this don't have 100% support from their significant other.
Hmm.
So Holy crap. It was a struggle. It literally was a big, massive decision, a lot of conversations, a lot of deep conversations. But in the end of it all, she said, whatever you choose, I will be there to support you. Um, she has a good job.
Mm,
That definitely helps because it helped alleviated some of the
that
possible
pressure.
financial burdens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not sitting here saying we're fucking loaded either. You know what I mean? But it helped.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely helped in the decision process, and
Sure. I mean, the lights still have to stay on,
they
groceries still have to
do.
get bought. I mean, the realities of the world haven't gone away, you know?
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So I actually found out that I had a shoulder injury that I was born with. And it's some crazy medical term, but basically the head of my humerus doesn't sit in my shoulder pocket. It's like kind of semi dislocated.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was affecting PTs and workouts and stuff for the academy.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
imagine it's rotator cuff issues just
yeah,
out the wazoo.
rotator.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to remember the word, but I really can't. I can't remember it at all. But potentially it's not good. Like they basically said you're going to need surgery. So
Yeah.
I had to notify the police department. It's the right thing to do. I went through the process. Went through the process. I actually had the hiring letter. I still have it to this day. It's up in my drawer, but I could have been the biggest piece of shit and signed it and then said, "Oh, by the way, I'm hurt, but you can't do shit about it because I signed your hire letter. Technically, I'm hired by you." But no, I have always believed in honor and integrity, and I didn't sign it. And I notified the lieutenant there, and I said, "Hey, I have an injury that I'm currently haven't looked into. I am not going to continue this process right now. What do I do to stay on your list, or whatever?" So there's some things that I had to do, and then that's when we really decided where I thought about it after doing the police academy orientation and hearing an instructor who actually knew one of the officers who was slain on the line of duty. And normally I'm a cold-hearted bastard. I am a tough guy. I don't have feelings or whatever. But I was listening to this instructor talk about the day of that man's funeral, or the police officer's funeral there, and how he remembers to that day that he can remember seeing that officer's children lay on his coffin at the church, crying and saying, "Why isn't my daddy waking up?" And it just smacked me in the face, right there at orientation, that shit, maybe this really isn't for me. Maybe
Yeah.
my true calling potentially is streaming, and maybe I should kind of take a different route and just embrace the unknown and the randoms and the risk the biscuit and just see where it
Hmm.
goes. Because at the end of it, what really is the worst that could potentially happen is I didn't become. I hate saying this because it's never about money or whatever, but successful, and then
Right.
having to go out
Right.
to get a job. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the worst that's going to happen? I mean, I don't make it and I have to go get a job. Yeah, yeah, but I didn't want to fail at streaming because, like I was saying earlier, we were building a family, an extended family. We were having people that we were helping get through their day, and at the end of it all, that trumped the secure route and being a police officer.
Right.
So that's when
Right.
we basically said, let's do this. Let's go all in 100%. So we did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that whole story reminds me of a couple things. The first one that it reminds me of is, so Jim Carrey a while back gave a speech, a commencement speech at his alma mater. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Now, are you familiar with the speech that I'm talking about?
I do. I do.
Anyway, within that speech, he tells this story, right? Because Jim Carrey, wildly successful comedian,
Yes.
after some struggle. Um, but he tells the story of his dad and how his dad was a really talented comedian, but he took a safe job, right, to provide for the family as an accountant. He took a safe job as an accountant, and like 3 or 4 years into it, he loses his job, and Jim Carrey remembers like everything they had to do to like scratch and survive. And I think like that story, and then exactly what everybody's going through now. It's Jim Carrey's message was essentially like, listen, you can fail doing anything, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you want to do, right?